Alright, so this is a general layout of the battlefield for Odinium. Generally try to divide it into sections. So Team 1 will be on the left side, Team 2 will be on the right, and then we have a fortress team that worries about the fortresses up front. Pre-designated teams should focus on their area unless requested elsewhere. That's the whole point of dividing it up. And we try to divide the teams generally by power and making sure that each team has mass rally capability in case we need that. Just a synopsis of the buildings and where they're located. So you have your fortresses right in front of the start areas, which are these strips down at the top and bottom. They give you a low amount of points for the alliance and individually. Then you got your transfer stations. These are big. You gain points for taking them over, but it gives the ability to teleport into these zones over time throughout the match. You have your Empire Military Center, which grants attack bonus as well as points. The Tech Center, which grants HP bonus as well as alliance and individual points. And then you got your frontline bases, which they are what awards the highest amount of points. You have to capture the facility, and when you do, you'll see a timer on it. That timer has to hit 0 before you can gain points and bonuses from that facility. You will gain points for kills when attacking or defending on facilities. Transfer stations, obviously, they're going to be a big priority. One, it allows you to reduce march times, which you'll see here in a minute, and it'll increase just accessibility all around the battlefield. So you'll see right there, we want to try and cap all these, again, sticking to your respective team zone. And then the fortress guys down here, they will worry about the fortresses. Once we cap those, then we can start to teleport into our respective areas onto the battlefield, move our bases into there. When you do, you have to remember that you can be hit at your base if you're out in the battlefield. Down here in the start area, you're safe generally speaking, but in the transfer zones, they will be able to hit you. Next priority, then we shift over to taking all these intermediate facilities. So then those bases that teleported out can start hitting those. Fortress guys, technically, they could send some extra marches at those if they're open. Just, be wary. The fortress guys are lower levels in general out of our group, so make sure that you're not running into a shit show. Now, once those get capped, you'll see a timer on the left side of the screen throughout the match that counts down, and that lets you know when the supply drop for the bomb truck is going to be. So plane will fly across, bomb truck pops up, and at that point, everybody needs to send their extra marches to that bomb truck. Every attack that you hit it with drops it by 5%, regardless of the level of the player. It's just a standard 5% per hit. And whoever gets that final hit on the bomb truck, it's going to give control to that alliance. And at that point, it'll randomly head to a facility controlled by the enemy and do a bunch of damage to whatever troops may be in there and also cap it. So all our extra marches need to be heading at that when that pops up, because obviously we want to get it. We don't want that bomb truck being used on us. It's also points for us. And these guys out at the transfer stations have the ability to potentially time their attacks. Obviously, if you see a whole huge wave and you're closer to where you can get there faster, you can potentially hold off on your attack a little bit, try to get it in later in the go to try to get that final hit. If you're down in the start area, you're better off just spamming all your extra marches off the start. So If an enemy player is about to hit one of your facilities and you know that they're much higher, just pull out. Don't unnecessarily waste your troops. Obviously we've been outmatched in a lot of these Odinium wars. So if you're level 70 and there's a level 80 trucking your way, obviously it's just a waste. So pull out. You can let them cap it. Then, if anything, our higher level players, they can come in, crush them, boot them out, and then you can move back in. Or that's where that mass rally comes in handy, and we can, get those separate teams to rally on their targets. The top level players on each team also be cognizant that, to try to protect the team members out in the battlefield once you teleport out to those transfer zones, if you're able to, try to keep an eye on any mid-level players around you. If they're about to get crushed and you have the ability to reinforce and save them, just toss them a march real quick. Once it glances off, go ahead, pull back out, and hit something else. The battlefield is split the way it is to reduce the amount of area you have to monitor. Obviously, when you're sitting there trying to scan all across, left side, right side, our start area, their start area, it gets easy to miss things and more difficult to react. So if we keep everything split up between the teams, broken down, it gives you a much more narrow focus. Should be a little easier maintained. The Fortress team, again, that's generally going to be our lower level players. And it's nothing against you guys. It's just, for the sake of you, obviously, if you're 15 levels lower than the enemy, there's no point in having you trying to go back and forth with them and those center ones. If you can hold those fortress ones, it'll still rack you up points. You can always try to look for some of those little gem nodes to gather gems from. It doesn't really give you a lot of gems, but it gives you, a handful, and it gives you points. The rewards are still going to be good all around. Even when we've lost, we've had good rewards. But stay focused, stay vigilant, and happy hunting. If anyone's got any questions, just shoot me a message.